Hello, welcome to my channel. So this video is for you if you are struggling right now with finding closure. This is for you if someone has ghosted you, or they left you on red, or they didn't give you an explanation as to why they left, or if you are wondering, why isn't this person calling me? Like, I don't understand how they can just move on so quickly, or how I'm over here in complete anxiety and they just seem to be completely okay. And in fact, they moved on to another relationship. So I have been there and it's a painful place, and I can empathize and I have so much compassion. So this video is going to give you a lot of hope, and it's actually going to take you from a place of complete anxiety, grief, anger, and turn it all into empowerment and hope for your future. Because what I can tell you, and I can tell you this from so much experience. Now, if you don't know me, my name's Mandy Tardif. I am a Christian mentor, coach, and a professional artist. I live in Hawaii, and I spend all of my time painting, creating content for my coaching practice so I can help people live the most amazing life possible. I've had victory in my life from migraines, anxiety attacks, panic attacks, not anxiety attacks, anxiety, panic attacks, migraines, and severe eating disorder, alcoholism. I'm sober. I went from someone who was so insecure and anxiously attached to someone who's now securely attached, self-confident, and running my own business in Hawaii as a single woman. So I say that because you can go from rags to riches. You can go from a complete state of despair and anxiety and grief, and you can actually find empowerment and hope in that. And in fact, the very things that seem like they could crush you or they could take you down are actually the very things that you are meant to, kind of like David and Goliath, where David was this little person and was supposed to defeat this giant, this Goliath, this giant. And he didn't feel like he had the ability or the power, and all he had was a slingshot. But it's in those moments where we think that we don't have the power within us. We think that this thing is going to crush us or defeat us, or it's the end, or we're just spiraling out. We don't understand. We can't find the answers. We just want peace. We just want to move on. And what we forget in those moments is that we have the ability with a little slingshot to defeat Goliath, to defeat the giant. So I'm just going to give you a little story about how I can empathize. I can understand if you're in this place where you're just reeling about a person and you just can't seem to get yourself unstuck. That has happened for me multiple times. There was one particular gentleman where we had this breakup in the middle of COVID, and I just, even though we were broken up, and even though I knew that it was best that we break up, I just could not stop thinking about him. I was obsessively thinking about the relationship and why he wasn't seeming to be as upset, or just wondering why he wasn't texting me, why he wasn't emailing me. Was he thinking about me as much as I was thinking about him? He seemed to be able to move on. He was very avoidant and I was more anxiously attached. So I started studying all about attachment styles at this time, trying to understand. And no matter what I did, I still could not help this feeling that just overtook me. I felt obsessed. I felt like I couldn't really concentrate fully on something. I wasn't completely mentally, spiritually, physically present, because even if I was talking with a friend, there'd be this other part of me that felt like it was obsessively thinking about him or anxious. There was just this constant feeling in my body. I actually felt it in my body. It felt like anxiety. So I would go running, I would go hiking, I would paint, I would try to immerse myself in these things so I could distract myself. And I prayed constantly. I constantly was like, God, please help me with this. And I can tell you, looking back, that although this did not feel good, this time in my life, that I am so far from that. And I've learned so much that I am here to be someone that can tell you that wherever you are right now, you are okay and you're not broken and you're safe and God loves you. And one of the main things I want to tell you right now is that I want to suggest to you lovingly to feel your feelings right now. You don't like your feelings. You don't want to feel them. You don't want to feel the pain, the anguish, the grief, the anxiety, the obsession. You don't want to feel what it feels like in your body and your mind. You want to be able to move on with your life. You want to be able to move forward. You want to know the answers. You want clarity. You don't like being in confusion. You're having a hard time accepting what's going on. You wish that you could control this situation. I understand all of that. You're normal. You're okay. This is a part of the process. You thinking that you shouldn't be feeling all these things, you thinking that it should be something different, is what's going to keep you frustrated. If you can just get into the space of allowing yourself, and I know this can be hard, but just to be like, this is where you are. And this is, quite frankly, part of what's going to get you over here. Even though you wouldn't choose this for yourself, you probably wouldn't say, I want to be right here. I would like to be miserable and anxious, and yes, give me that. Yeah. But in order for things to die and for new things to come alive, in order for us to live in an empowered, free life, oftentimes we have to go through situations that aren't very comfortable. And if we can allow ourselves to just honor our feelings and just be with the pain, find people who are not going to suppress your feelings, and they're not going to say you shouldn't feel this way, or they're not going to try to rush you into the next stage too quickly. You need to just let it out. You need to just cry. I remember when I used to call my friends and I used to say, I promise you one day I'm going to stop talking about this, but today's not the day. And I just needed someone to be able to witness exactly where I was at. I didn't need them to fix me or change me. In fact, I didn't want them to fix me or change me. I just wanted them to witness where I was at, even if it was messy and ugly and fucked up. And I just needed someone to be with me in the mess. So I would say that that's important. If you can find people in your life that are able to just say, I'm sorry you're going through that, instead of like, well, someone better is going to come along, or, well, this, blah, blah, blah. Like, sometimes you just don't need that. You just don't want that. You just want someone to just hold space for you. And also realizing that there are stages to healing, right? There are typically 7 stages to healing. You're going to go through denial, you're going to go through anger, grief, sadness, you're going to go through bargaining, you're finally going to get to a place where you're like, maybe I can let this go. Maybe this actually is a good thing. Oh my God, I'm actually hopeful for my future. But you have to go through all of these stages in order to healthily go through the stages and get through them and heal from whatever is calling to be healed right now, because there's something calling to be healed in your life right now. I 100% guarantee that's happening. If you're gonna suppress your feelings, you're gonna stop the healing from happening. You have to let yourself feel the pain without medicating it through alcohol, drugs, sleeping with another person, bypassing your feelings, spiritually bypassing your feelings, telling yourself you shouldn't feel this way, gaslighting yourself. These are things that are all not going to help you. The thing that's going to help you is to allow yourself to just be a child of God. So that's number 1. Number 2, you need to release this. You need to get it out into the light. You need to not go through this by yourself. You need to find people that understand, that will attune, that will be able to actually hold the space without any kind of control or manipulation or any skin in the game, that actually care about you, but also hold the space knowing that you are going through something and you just need to let yourself go through this, knowing the bigger picture that you're gonna get through this. Like, God's gonna get you through this. So you need to find a friend, a coach, a mentor, a space, a grief space, a 12-step program, somewhere where you can feel like you're validated, feel like you're known, feel like you're seen, feel like you're not alone, feel like you're not crazy, because you can tell yourself you're not crazy. But it really helps when you get yourself around people who are telling your story and you can feel like this person actually gets me, like, to a cellular level. So find someone that you can share with. Find someone that you can talk to so you feel less crazy. And because you're not crazy, although you can feel crazy in a lot of ways. Sometimes the things that we are thinking, they are insane. They are insane. Thinking that we can make a relationship work with someone that's unhealthy or someone that's not treating us right. Like, that's an insane thought. But we don't need to beat ourselves up for having that insane thought. We actually need spiritual help from a higher power to help us to turn those insane thoughts into sane thoughts. And I don't know about you, but I wasn't really able to do that on my own. I needed to find support in addition to prayer. And I needed to find the right people who could actually help me and not kind of suppress my feelings. And then once you get all that stuff out, then you can just listen to guidance, and there is something that is calling for you to do in this moment. And you have a choice here. That's the thing. You have a choice. And if you've forgotten that have a choice, or if you have been told over and over that you don't have a choice, or if hearing that you have a choice makes you mad, then that's the very thing that needs healing right now, because you actually are someone who can help. Like, there's a verse in the Bible, and I'm not gonna say it correctly, but it's something about he who can conquer a city is not as great as he who can conquer their own spirit, who can control their own mind, he who can control their own mind. They can have self-control, right? You can do all kinds of things. You can make a ton of money. You can build a billion businesses, but are you able to harness your mind? Are you able to have self-control when it counts? Are you able to take your thoughts and hold them captive to Christ? Are you able to take those thoughts that are spinning around and replace those limiting beliefs, those thoughts that are having you go cuckoo? Are you able to know where to take those thoughts and how to replace them so that you can live a life of empowerment and you can live a life of victory? So once you're able to reach out and talk about what's going on, then you are able to take action. So once you're able to release, it's kind of like a pressure valve, You're like, you release all of this energy, right? That was all up in your head and you're thinking, and then you can tell someone else about it. And then you start to maybe stop crying. Maybe your head kind of feels like it's opening up, like as though maybe it was really dark. And then all of a sudden you can feel like a little crack, almost like the sun shining through. And then you're more open to guidance, to seeing things from a different perspective. And you can't rush yourself into this. Like, it's like you need someone who's going to be able to feel into where you're at and meet you where you're at. But also at the same time, like, I was just on the phone with this woman before getting on this video, and she was talking about how she could not stop thinking about this guy, and she was going on and on and on about, and he's probably with this girl right now, and he's probably going to move on, and he's not even thinking about me, and he's having fun. And she was just going down this train, and I knew that she needed to just be heard. Like, I knew that she needed to be witnessed, and I knew that she needed to take all the thoughts that were going around in her head, and I knew that she needed to, like, just say them out loud, and she needed to feel safe to say them out loud. But I also, because I speak with this woman often, I knew that she knows that I have her best interest in mind, and I was able to say, okay, I'm gonna lovingly stop you right now, because all of those thoughts right now, they are not doing you any good. I understand them. I get it. You got to get them out. You got to get them out. Get them out. But none of them, if you can look at them from a different perspective, right? None of them are going to serve you. You don't even know if any of those are true. You can challenge all of those, you don't actually know if those are facts. And if they are facts, if he moved on, if he's not thinking about you, whatever, then you can ask yourself a bunch of different questions. Like, are you really not going to be okay? Are you really, all these different things. Like, so we just kind of went through on this phone call all of the different scenarios that she was afraid of. And it was like, okay, well, if that happened, then this, and so what ultimately became very, very helpful for this woman on this phone call was going through that process, right? Of like, she calls, she needs help, she's going through this thing, she's freaking out, she's crying, I'm listening to her, holding space, just letting her get it out, telling her I understand, because I really do. Like, I've been through this type of stuff so many times, and giving her the hope, that like, I know you're gonna be okay. I've been through this, like, on a deep level. You have no idea how much I understand. But I'm challenging you right now to take a look at and be open to what this moment could be calling for right now. And so that's what I'm going to pose to you. If you are spinning out about something and you just can't unlodge yourself from this person, you can't accept that they've moved on, or you can't, you're telling yourself you can't move on, you can't get closure until this very person texts you or calls you, or you hear from them, or you hear them say, I love you, or they come back to you, or they shoot you that text that you're dying to hear from them. You just want them to text you and say, I can't live without you. Or I challenge you to consider that even if you got that text, it might make you feel better for a moment, but right after, you'd still feel something wasn't quite right. That's how it was for me. I can see, looking back, that there were times when I so felt like I needed to get closure from that guy that I went to great lengths to try to get closure from that guy, when him ghosting me should have been closure enough to be like, I don't even want to text a man. I don't even want to pursue a man. I don't want to chase after a man who's going to ghost me. I don't need him to tell me why. I don't need him to give me an explanation. I don't need to hear his voice one more time. I don't need to find out what happened or what I did or what he did. I don't need that. He ghosted me. Period. Done. That's where I'm at today. I was not in that place before, and I was incessantly thinking about this person, feeling like I could not move on until I heard from him. And it was very real for me, and I honored that. And I wasn't wrong for feeling that way. And that version of me deserves love and compassion, and there's a reason why I was in that place. If you look at how I grew up and what I observed in terms of like relationships and just what I've gone through in my life, like, it makes sense why I felt that way. It makes sense why I was where I was at. So I love that version of myself. I gave that version of myself love. I gave that version of myself support. I called people and told them how much I was hurting, and they lovingly told me things and reminded me things of like, you don't need closure. And I prayed, and but the truth is you actually don't need closure from a person who is ghosting you, for instance. Now, I'm gonna throw in a little nuance here. It would be nice if people would not ghost. There is something in your soul and spirit that doesn't feel okay, because ghosting isn't okay. So the feeling that you feel of something not feeling quite right is valid. Like, it's hurtful, 100%. It would be so nice if people would be really forthright and live their fucking lives with integrity, were impeccable with their word, and did not ghost people, and did not tiptoe around things. And if people were very direct in their communication, said what they meant to say, their yes meant their yes and their no meant their no. But we're living in a world where a lot of people don't do that because they're cowards and they're afraid. And I don't want to mark people as coward. I want to take that back. People are acting like cowards. They are taking on a cowardly spirit and they're operating with a cowardly spirit instead of operating in a courageous, bold spirit. That's their choice. They can do whatever they want. Now, it's hurtful, so honor the fact that it hurts. Try to come to an acceptance of how things are right now. And for me, I need spiritual help to come to an acceptance. I need to say, God, please help me to accept what I can't seem to accept right now. Help me to surrender because I want peace. At the end of the day, what's going to give you peace? If you are feeling on any level that you just really don't like the way this feels because you can't stop thinking about this person, how can you give yourself peace? And how can you get that peace? For me, I had to pray and say, God, give me peace. Show me what this is all for. Show me what you're trying to do here. Show me what you're trying to show me about you, God. Show me about love. Give me higher vision. Give me spiritual vision so I'm not in suffering anymore. You don't have to be in suffering. In fact, you can turn this around. So by the end of the phone call with this woman that I was talking to earlier, she told me, she was like, I actually feel so empowered right now. I feel like I can't wait to get off the phone. I feel like I now am excited because I now know that what this whole thing is calling for me to do is to renew my mind, is to stop leaning on my own understanding and instead ask God for God's vision. This whole thing is helping me to realize that I have let this right here go all over the place and to renew my mind with the word. And every time those thoughts come in that tell me you're not enough, you need closure, like I'm complete and whole in Christ. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. God has a plan and a purpose for me. His promises are yes and amen. I am seated in heavenly places. I am a child of God. I am loved. I am chosen. And to marinate in these words until these words are not just words that you are hoping that one day you're gonna actually believe, but they become a working part of you, where you live these words, you embody these words, you are these words. You don't even doubt for a second. When things come in and people ghost you and people don't like you and people reject you, it bounces off of you like water on a duck's back because it does not bother you, because you know, because you've renewed your mind. So even though it's painful, even though this is a hard lesson, sometimes these things happen to show us that we are giving into lies and we are actually meditating on lies. We are meditating on the wrong thing. And you can do that. You have a choice. You can be disempowered. You can choose to meditate on those things, or you can replace your limiting beliefs, the lies, the perseveration on those things, and you can replace them with truth. And that is what I help people with. I help people to replace their limiting beliefs. I help people to get through breakups and go no contact and become securely attached instead of anxiously attached. I help women go through the process because, trust me, I've fucking been there. I've been there so many times. So I have a power hour. You can schedule a power hour with me. There are links in the description box, or there are links on my YouTube channel. You can also join my group coaching program where I go live every week. I have courses that you can download, a Proverbs 31 course, a going no contact course. I have devotionals. I have free guides. I have a free dating guide. I have a free relationship hack. I have so much information. A lot of it's free. Some of it you pay for. But if you're looking for more help and you want to go a little deeper with me one-on-one, then I encourage you to either join my group coaching program or schedule a power hour with me. Or you can also listen to a bunch of my other videos on YouTube. I am uploading videos on Mondays, Thursdays. I go live on Tuesdays. And then also I have the group coaching program. So hopefully this is helpful. Drop your comments. Let me know if this has helped you at all. And I will see you in my next video. Bye. Mwah.